Hey everybody, Cody with Princess Craft RV at the Katy location. Today we're going to do our walkthrough on the 2025 XT19HRT Off Grid Extreme, or as we like to call it, the 19 OGE. So come along with me and let's figure out how to get this thing hooked up and what all it's got on it. Let's go through it. So starting right up front here, pretty robust hookup system. It's going to ride on the Cruisemaster DO35 coupler. Pretty cool coupler. It's a 360 swivel. It's got a pin that comes with it that's going to come up into here. Once you get it dropped all the way down, you just push this little red tab and that locks it shut, and that's actually going to lock onto the coupler. Another cool safety feature here is this cap that actually snaps down on here. If this isn't latched shut, this cap will not fit. So just kind of a secondary check there to make sure you get everything latched all the way down. Then to get it released, you're just going to push down on that red tab, push right here until it gets all the way back, and then just let up and it holds it in place, and then you can use your tongue jack there to lift it up off of the pin. Now your tongue jack manual crank does have a removable handle, so make sure you keep up with your handle. Cranks up and down, and it's a swing away. Handle has to swing out of the way to use the crank, but whenever you're ready to put it away, you're just going to pull out on this and then it's going to swivel. The other cool feature that it has is this other pin lock here on the side. When you pull this out, it's going to allow you to actually adjust the overall drop height of your tongue jack leg. So you get a little more clearance depending on the type of terrain that you're out camping on. Big, robust safety chains here. These are going to come off, they're going to cross, and they're going to clip onto your receiver hitch. Great little storage hook on each side for your chains. We've got your 7-way cord here. It does come with a dust cap to put on it when you're not in use. This is going to plug into your tow vehicle. It's going to run your lights and your brakes on the trailer. We do have your safety breakaway for your electric brake, so if you do get detached, this cord's going to rip out of this box right here, and it's going to apply the brakes on the trailer. And last but not least, because this is the Off Grid Extreme package, this is going to come with the 2-pin Anderson style connector here on the front. You do have to put supporting wiring and connector on your tow vehicle for this, but this goes to what's called a DC to DC charger that is installed in the trailer already and allows for some good adequate charging for your lithium batteries that are on board. And we'll get into more of that once we get inside. This also comes with a handbrake here, so you can lock the brakes down whenever you're camping in it. And you also have a water outlet right here at the front with just a turn valve to get water out. Moving up to our locker storage, everything can be locked shut, so you can put locks on here. It does come with these clip pins. You just open them up. Watertight storage, so you can store whatever you need to in here. If you need to make adjustments for how tight this is going to be, you're just going to thread these down right here. You can make these clips tighter so they pull tighter onto the gasket. So your two side lockers are going to be the same, except for the one on the right. It does have a dual jerry can holder in there, so you can carry you some jerry cans with whatever you want to put in them, whether it be fuel or water. Middle bin, it's going to be our propane. We're going to have two 20-pound propane cylinders in here. It's going to be a single hose connection, so you will have to move your pigtail from cylinder to cylinder depending on usage. Once one goes empty, you're going to come out, move your hose over to the other cylinder, remove this one, go get it refilled or exchanged, whatever you want to do with it there. All right, so our two side lockers are lockable. This middle one is lockable. However, we don't recommend it because it does have your propane in it. You do need to have access to that, and it needs to be quick access in case there is an issue that would require you to get those cylinders shut off, or maybe the fire department. So we recommend you don't lock the one that's got your LP cylinders in it. One last thing to cover on the front of the trailer is going to be this little black box right down here with a LED light on it. That's going to be your indicator for your Tucson asymmetrical sway control system that is already added to the trailer. So it detects trailer sway and applies the brakes on the trailer to help control trailer sway as you're traveling to your destination. And you've also got this nice large spotlight up on the front. So moving on around the side here, we're going to start with our stabilizer. So this unit is going to be equipped with 4-corner stabilizers. To get this to swing down, you're going to want to pull out on this blue handle, and this is going to swing down. Now you want to be as 90-degree perpendicular to the ground as possible. That's going to give you the most capacity and the most stability out of these jacks. Now once you get there, we're just going to put our crank handle here on that comes with the unit. And we're going to crank that down. We're going to snug it up. That's going to help stabilize our camping environment while we are using the trailer. Just above that, we do have a storage bin. Now on all of the exterior storage compartments, these all have these twist locks that actually really help pull these doors in to give it a good compression on the gasket to keep water and dust out. They just swing down out of the way. Gives you a nice pass-through storage on the front here that you can get into. We'll go over the slide-out tray on the other side. You do have lighting in here. It is a tap light. There's just a little touch sensor on it. You just tap it, turns on, and then tap it again, it'll turn off. Going to be a 30-amp shore connection here. So to do this, we're going to have our cord, going to have 3 prongs on it. One of them's kind of L-shaped. Going to match it up with the L-shaped side that's on the trailer. We're just going to slide those together, give it a little twist to the right, give it a little initial lock, and then we're going to take our lock ring and we want to tighten this down. We want a good snug connection here so we don't get any overheating or arcing that may cause power issues or melting of your connectors. Now just below that, we're going to come right down here and we're going to see that we've got a caution label. And this says for externally regulated solar input only, maximum of 200 watts per input, and it does require an Anderson plug connector to get put on. So you just pop open these doors, you're going to see that you've got your Anderson connector, and you can plug an additional 200 watts of solar per connector into these. So because this is the Off Grid Extreme package, it already comes with, I think, like 1,220 or 25 watts of solar. So you can get another 600 watts added to that here to really make this a very good, robust, large solar system that can help keep everything charged up and operating if you're doing some off-grid camping. This is going to come equipped with the Truma water heater. So to get into this, we're just going to turn this little lever here and this door is going to come open. It's got 2 straps so you can just kind of let it swing down out of the way. Now it does have this travel dust plug in here that you do want to make sure you get removed before you use the unit. But if you're doing a lot of traveling off-road and stuff like that, it's a good thing to keep in there to help keep that dust from getting back into the unit. Power switch does need to be in the on position. And then this big yellow lever here is where your filter or drain plug or antifreeze kit is going to go whenever you're going to use this thing. To get this out, we're just going to push up here. We're going to pull down on this. Your drain plug or filter or antifreeze kit would slide out. You just pull it out of there. This is also how you drain the Truma water heater. Now if you're going to hook in your antifreeze kit, it's going to slide in here. You're going to push up, snap this all the way shut, and then it's going to plug in to that 2-pin port right there. How you control that, I'll show you on the inside. All right, moving down the side here, just over our axles on the driver's side of the trailer, we're going to have our wet bay. We do have a removable cap here. Pull that off. This is how we're going to get our water hose in so we can keep this closed whenever we're hooked up to city water. Well, let's open this up, take a look inside. We're going to have a few connections in here. We've got our city water connection. It is going to be a quick connect, or you can take this fitting out. You can hook straight in with a water hose if you so choose. But you've also got 3 locking caps here. Well, what are they for? This one is labeled as your rear water tank. This one is labeled as your front water tank. So you have 2 here, 2 freshwater tanks that you can fill and carry water with, and this other one's going to be your gray tank flush. So if you need to flush out that gray tank, you can put a hose down in there, get a lot of water into it, help flush it out, and then got an outside shower. All right, as we continue on down here, Truma exhaust. So when we're running our Truma unit, we're gonna get some hot air out of here and stuff, so make sure we don't block this, make sure nobody gets burned here. Moving on behind that, we're gonna have 2 different toilet things here. So top one, it's gonna be keyed lock. It's gonna have a weather seal on it. Inside, we're gonna have another door that also has a seal on it, but this is your freshwater fill for your toilet. So it's got a hand pump toilet in it, so you're gonna put your hose in here, you're gonna fill this up. Once that is completely full, then you're gonna close and lock it, and you're gonna have access to that fresh water for your toilet. All right, so to get to our cassette toilet, so again, this is gonna be lockable. We're gonna push these 2 buttons, open this door up, and inside is our cassette. Now to get this thing removed, little blue tab down here at the bottom, we're just gonna lift up on that and grab the handle, slide this whole thing out. And y'all get a treat today because this actually has some water in it, so I can show you how to discharge it. We're gonna take our cap off. You're gonna have a handle here on the back to help you hold. You're gonna push the vent button right here on the top, and then we're just gonna pour it. Pour that all the way out, pour it into the dump, into the toilet, wherever it is that you've got access. Once you get it all emptied out, you can open this up. You can slide this cover off, turn this blue knob here, gives you access to really get this thing rinsed out. You can get a hose in here, get it rinsed out real good. To put it back in, we're gonna take our cap, put our cap back on, swing our spout back in. One last thing. This does have a travel handle on it and wheels. So if it's full and heavy, you can tote this thing along. But to get it reinstalled, we're just gonna pick it up, take it here, get it started, just slide it back in, all the way in until that blue clip locks in, and that should get you situated. And then just close the door. So there are a couple of things left on this side that we're gonna take a look at underneath. Right below our cassette door, you will find this large valve right here with an open connection. This is gonna be your gray water tank drain. It's got a quarter turn valve on it. To actually turn this into a drain, you do need a piece of hose that goes on here and down into, whether it be into a dump or a collection system like a tow tank, portable tow tank, something like that, to collect that. Up front, we have a couple other valves, so let's go take a look at those. So underneath, towards the front of the trailer on the driver's side, we are gonna have a drain valve right here. It's gonna be a quarter turn drain valve. This is on the supply water line to the water valve out at the tongue of the trailer. So whenever you drain everything down, winterize the unit, all that, don't forget to drain that. And there's one more valve I'm gonna show you that's kind of up inside the frame, so let's take a look at that. All right, last valve for this water line that runs out here to the tongue of the trailer is gonna be this one right here. So it is a quarter turn valve, runs out to here. So if you get a water leak or you just wanna shut this thing off, you can turn this valve right here. It keeps water from getting all the way out to the water valve at the tongue. All right, so we got a few things going on back here on the rear of the trailer. Let's just start up top. Got another spotlight. We've got a backup camera. You got a roof access ladder with a maximum weight capacity of 250 pounds. You do need to get up there. A couple things, you need to check sealants. You also need to keep those solar panels clean. They're gonna do a better job if they're clean. Full-size spare tire, license plate mount. It's gonna go right here so it's lit up. And then right underneath, we're gonna see that we've got tow hooks on each side. Help you get out of those sticky situations maybe. Let's finish up the outside of this thing. All we've got left here is the passenger side. So starting here kind of at the back, we've got a cleat here on the side. We've also got one at the front. These are gonna be for your awning. So if you put your awning out, it has a secure, an arm that'll come down. You can run it to the ground, or you can run them back to the trailer and they'll latch in here and at the one at the front. We've got 2 outside speakers, one here, one at the front as well. And then we've got an outside TV setup that's gonna be in this compartment right here. Again, we're gonna open it up, and inside we're gonna find our TV mount, We're gonna find our different powering options here. You can do 110, you can do 12 volt. You also have your coax hookup. Right in front of that, we're also gonna have this locking fold down table right here. Do what you want with it. It's a table, you use it. To get it to put away, you do have to pull up on these hinges just to kind of get it started, and then you'll lock it shut. There are snaps that line this side of the trailer all the way down. These units do come with a adder room that's pretty good in size. Look for other videos on that. We do have a warning label here. There's one on the other side as well. It's going to talk about your lug nut torque and your tire pressure, things to check and maintain. This unit also comes equipped with the Tough Tracks suspension system and mega hub. So pretty robust suspension and everything on board here to keep you getting down the road. We do have a 110 outlet. We do have two different types of door holdbacks for these trailers. We're gonna have this one here and this one here. So the way that works, let's open this door up, is we're gonna have this door holdback here that's gonna come all the way back to this one, and you can snap that in there. It gives you a nice full open access. The other option is gonna be this one here. It's gonna be more of a little beyond 90-degree hold on the door. One thing to check whenever you're doing this is when you're putting your awning out. It's usually a good idea to have your door closed or all the way open. Those awnings do come down at a pretty good angle as they come out, so just watch your door clearance on that. Exterior grab handle that does have a light on it, so you just push that button there and you can get your light going. Exterior porch light. And now we've got some cool stuff left over here. We're gonna have our outside gas connection here, which is gonna hook up to our outdoor kitchen. So to get this out, we do have a safety travel lock. We're gonna pull up on it and rotate it to get it to hold in place. And then you're also gonna have a slide lock. Push down on that. All right, so as you're pulling this thing out, make sure you get it all the way out. You should almost feel a little click in the lock. So that's gonna lock the drawer slide in place so it doesn't accidentally roll in on you while you're working out here. A couple things just to check as you're working on this. You do have your water lines that are gonna come from the inside here. So as you're moving it in and out, these are gonna be your water lines. They connect back there at the wall. Just keep an eye on things like that. They're moving in and out. We don't want to get them pinched or anything like that. You've got a safety lock here on this extension. So to work this, it just has a button right here. You're going to push that. It's going to pop that little latch up, allow you to slide out this little extension table. Now there's also a support leg that goes with this. Going to be this right here. Just going to loosen up the lock on it, and then we're going to take this. There's a hole right here on the corner that this goes into. Just give it a little bit of snugness, push up on it, and then tighten that down. That's just going to help keep this station more stable while you're working. All right, once you get this thing pulled out all the way and stabilized, we do have a couple of connections we've got to make. They're going to be right here in this little door. You're going to pull up on the latch, pull this down. Inside, we're going to have our gas hose, our cigarette lighter style 12-volt connection, and then we've got our outside sink drain line. Now, all of this is going to fish out through this hole right here in the bottom. So we're just going to fish these items down through here. Once you get all those fished down, we're going to take our gas line, pop the little dust cap off. On this quick connection, we're just going to push back on this collar, take our gas line, we're going to push it in. Once it's all the way in, that collar will come back and hold that in place. There's a little valve right here behind that does have to be turned on, this little black valve handle to allow gas flow. The other thing that does is locks that collar so you can't accidentally disconnect your gas line. To disconnect it, turn the valve off, push in, gas line pops right out. Now the electrical connection is going to route back up underneath and into this compartment here, and it's going to plug in to that accessory outlet that's up in this compartment. So we're just going to take that, plug it in right there. Now what that's going to do is that's going to give us power for our electronic ignition on our cooktop. So to get to our cooktop, we're going to undo our bungee, Open up our lid. We're going to take our wind guards, slide these up. They're going to sit into these little grooves right here. Holds them in place. Now this has a glass cooktop cover. This is just a cover. Make sure your burners are cooled before you close down on top of it. Now once you get everything all hooked up here, you're just going to take your knob, depending on the burner you want to light, turn it over to the light position, and that igniter is going to automatically start going. Once your flame is lit, let up on the knob and then set your desired flame height. Now we've also got a sink over here, so again we're going to undo our bungee. On this, we're just going to tip it up. Make sure your hinges do get fully locked down. And then we've got a release right here on the side. We're going to pull out on that, and that's going to allow our spice rack, dish rack, whatever you want to call that, to fold down and give you some place to put things. Sink, going to be a fold away head. Then you've got hot and cold water. You also have a stopper if you need to hold your water. Do have a couple of drawers out here. Got one that you can put a lot of silverware in. Now once these are closed up, these two handles do need to be in the down position. That's going to allow clearance for whenever we put this thing away. So let's go over what we need to do to get it put away. All right, so to get this folded down, first we're going to take our dish rack here, spice rack. We're going to lift up on these hinges here, fold this all the way up. We're going to take our lock that we did to fold them down. We're going to push this lever up into that groove, get that locked in. Now to get this to fold down again, we're going to pull up on our hinges. Make sure you don't keep your fingers in there. We don't want to get them pinched. Fold that down, do our bungee. To put our cooktop away, make sure you're cooled off, close your glass cover, undo your wind guards here, slide those up. Make sure they get in there all the way behind that MDC USA heat holder there. And then we're just going to fold this closed. Do our bungee. Our table here is just going to slide in. It does have a lock pin. If you get that all the way out, that pin can lock in there. So again, you would just push that up, push that all the way in, push that down to hold it in. Do not forget to undo your gas connection and your electrical connection. So we're just going to reach in, unplug that electrical connection, drop that down underneath, undo our gas connection, and then we're going to take all this and tuck it back up in the hole underneath. Make sure that's all up in there. Make sure everything is tucked away so it'll fit back in there so we don't jam anything. Undo your leg. And then we're going to push down on this blue tab lever. And that's going to release our drawer guide lock and allow us to push this in. Make sure you get this all the way in, and don't forget to do your safety lock here. We want that fully engaged. And then you can close your door. Last compartment coming down the side here. Again, we're going to have another safety lock, another guide lock. We're going to pull this out. This is going to be a slide out that is for a refrigerator, cooler, or you can just use it for storage. You could put a solid bottom in it and just use it as a pull-out storage. We do have a couple things here that come with the unit. Again, we talked about the antifreeze kit for the Truma water heater. It's going to be that guy right there. It's got the Cruise Master coupler, so it does come with the holding tool so you can get that properly torqued down. And then we've got your drain plugs for your water tanks underneath. We'll climb under there here in just a second, take a look at where those go. And your MDC USA floor mat. I can never get through one of these without Clint making me feel like I forgot something, and I did. So right up front here in this compartment, we do have 12-volt power accessory for your cooler. We've got the cigarette lighter style, and we also have the 2-pin Anderson connector. The Anderson connector is going to give you a more stable, more robust power connection. It's a great option for keeping that cooler with the optimal amount of power. You also have another tap light over here, so you touch that little button there to turn the light on and off. And I also forgot to cover the kitchen light. So whenever you're cooking, maybe it's getting a little dark outside. Back in this compartment, we do have 2 switches here on the left. It's going to be for our kitchen light right here. We've got amber and white lighting on it as well. All right, our drain plugs. We've got 3 tanks under here. We've got 2 here in the back, and we've got 1 that's going to be forward of the axle. So these drain plugs, this rearmost tank is going to be your gray tank, and then the other 2 are going to be freshwater tanks. So this is how you drain them. These are also how you keep your water in them. These are just caps. You can get a socket to put on these or a wrench, tighten these down. They do have a rubber gasket. Make sure they get it all the way in there. You don't want them dripping while you're traveling or camping. All right, last couple of things I want to cover before we get inside. Our steps, they're just going to be fold away. They're very easy to use. You do have a vent here. It's just a snap cover vent. Does have a warning label there. Talks about the vent must remain permanently open, clean and unrestricted to provide ventilation when gas appliances are in use. So take that off whenever you're kind of occupying the camper, if you will, but when you're traveling, put it back on. It's going to keep all the dust and dirt and everything from getting in there. The last thing I like to go over is this door system. So it's got a couple of different operations on it. I've been asked a few times on how to actually get the locking system to work because there are a couple steps. You can't just put the key in it and lock it. So if you notice, this door actually latches in 3 different spots. So your center latch is your normal latch, just open and close. But if you push the handle from the outside, if you rotate it towards the front of the trailer, you'll see that there's a latch at the top and the bottom that come out. So from the inside, you push down on the handle, these 2 latches come out. So now you've actually got that door latched in 3 different spots. So when it's closed, if you just put your key in and try to lock it, it will not lock because we've got to engage those other 2 latches at the top and the bottom. To unlock it, you're going to turn your key counterclockwise. To lock it, it is clockwise. Once you get that done, then we can get inside. And it's got a screen door. Little lever right here is going to push up to release it. Now you can pin this door back, and you've got a nice screen door to go in and out of. Get some good fresh air ventilation in there. All right, starting off inside, let's go over what we've got right here coming inside the door. Got a few switches, so let's cover them. First of all, we're going to have our awning switches. We're going to see one labeled here with RENOGY. This is going to be our inverter on-off button. We've got our spotlight switch right here for our front and rear spotlights. Our step light, which is going to be the lighting around the entry step. And then we've got our left side and right side porch lights or scare lights, whatever you want to call them. You've got your yellow and your white switching. And then you have your AC isolator switch where you can actually turn off your AC receptacles. And we've got your fire extinguisher. So for your awning, you do see an on-off switch, and then you see an open-close switch. So to get the awning to operate, first thing you've got to do is turn it on. And then to get it to extend, we're just going to push open. It's an electronic awning, so it's going to open on its own from here. And you may be able to see in the video the shade starting to increase behind me. So while that finishes opening, let's continue on. We're going to have our RENOGY button here. So it's just a push button. It does have a on error light there. So whenever that's in, that inverter is going to automatically transfer between shore power or inverting power, which is pulling battery from our DC system or our batteries in to invert that into 120 volt AC power. So when that light is green, that means everything is operating normally. And if you have that error light, you may have an issue. Now, when it is flashing, that means that we are inverting. When it is on steady, that means it's in bypass mode. The other switches are just on-off switches, and then this is just an on-off here as well. Fire extinguisher, it's got red and green. Make sure it stays in the green. Check it periodically. Replace as necessary. So they've incorporated this step cover that I think is actually pretty smart. So this is just going to flip over, and it's going to fill your step cavity here. So whenever you get down out of the bed at night, you don't trip down into the step well. Pretty cool. Comes out, it is carpet padded. I would recommend probably not keeping it in the step well personally if I'm out camping. It's going to collect dirt and dust, maybe store it somewhere else other than in there. All right, so let's go over our interior lighting. We've got a 3-gang switch right here coming inside the door. First switch is going to be our center lights right down the center of the cabin. Second switch is going to be our cabinet lighting, and the third switch is going to be our cabinet lighting down low. This also includes the bathroom cabinet lighting that is down low. Just overhead, we're going to find our 110 power distribution panel, and inside you will find 2 breakers, one labeled as main, one labeled as inverter. All right, let's go over what we've got up here in the bedroom area of the 19 OGE. So, a couple things that they've incorporated into this is you've got wireless charging stations on each side of the bed, these 2 little black pads. Very cool thing that I think they've done. All of your cabinets in here are going to be these push lock latches. So you push it up to pop the knob out, and then you rotate the knob to get it to open. So you've got storage on both sides of the bed, kind of flat, and then you've also got wardrobes on both sides, and you've got storage overhead. You've got the Sirocco fans on both sides, so these do swing out. To undo them, you're just going to pivot that down, which then releases it, allows it to swivel. And then you've got buttons on the side. They are on both sides, so you can control depending on where you're at. They do have a 3-speed fan as well as a timer. Now, one of the cool things about these is they're pretty open, so they flow a lot of air. These are rubber blades in here, so you can stick your finger in them at high speed. You're not going to have to worry about them injuring you. You do have reading lamps on both sides of the bed, and you've also got additional charging. You've got 12-volt accessory ports. So you've got your cigarette lighter style, and you do have your USB-A and USB-C ports. So you can get fast charging in these. So moving up, moving on, getting things better and up to date. Great improvements that they've made. Now let's go over the windows. All of our windows in this unit are going to operate the same. They're all going to have latches with push buttons in the middle of them to make them rotate. So you push the button, rotate the latch. Once you get them all open, so these have detents on the stays. So you can't just, if you just push it out too fast, it just comes back in. So you got to kind of listen. You'll hear like a light click. When you hear that click, that's where the window will stay. So you can go partially out. You don't have to go all the way open to get it to close back. Now these do have a ventilation latching position. So if you look at the latch receiver here, you'll see that it's got a slit in the middle where you can latch these in, and it's just ever so slightly off of the gasket to allow some of that fresh air to come in without having the window wide open. Do not forget to latch these down in the fully closed position for travel. You don't want to give wind any opportunity to get in there and work that window open. You've got shades, fantastic blackout shades. These do a great job at actually covering the light completely. This latch comes together, it clicks together, it just has a little button in there, or a tab if you will. You just push on it to separate them, and then you can. But you've also got your insect screen that comes down from the top. All of your windows will be incorporated with that as well. All right, over our bed we do have this nice big skylight. It also incorporates lighting in it as well, so additional lighting here. The switch is on the framework. Now to get this thing to open and close, again, we're gonna have very similar latches to our windows. They're gonna have a push button in the middle that you're gonna push and rotate, and then we're just gonna grab our handle, we're gonna pull down and then push up. And they do have stays on it that'll keep it in the fully open position. But if you don't want to keep it there, it does have a little rest that's at like a maybe quarter open position that you can pull down to, and then it has a little flap that you just pass over the handle to keep it there so the wind doesn't snag it and whip it open. Now make sure again, whenever you get ready to travel, this is fully closed, fully latched. And I do recommend that you travel with your shades. So this does have the blackout shade and the bug screen. I do recommend that you travel with those in the open position, and also when you're not occupying it, that you keep them in the open position. It'll keep them in the pleating stage for a much longer lifespan. Let's take a look at what we got under the mattress. All right, so under our mattress over here, you're gonna see a little panel with two finger holes in it. We're just gonna lift that up and out. And down inside, you're gonna see the back side of your Truma water heater. And you're also gonna have bypass valves and drain valves. This is all going to be used for draining and winterizing your system. All right, so underneath these other panels here, there are no storage options because we've got our very front exterior storage, we've got our outside kitchen, and then in this little space right here, let me show you where things get pretty cool. All right, so underneath here, we do have a little bit of storage on this side. You do have a box that covers some wiring here, but on this side, we've got our RENOGY 3000 watt high frequency inverter. This is their latest and greatest inverter. Very good system. It has all kinds of cool communication stuff, so it communicates with the whole system on its own. Shouldn't be anything that you need to change in here. You shouldn't need to mess with it. It does need ventilation. I would not recommend storing anything in this compartment if you're utilizing that. If it's charging or if it's inverting, we don't want to suffocate it, as it could cause an overheat condition. So we've got our TV here. It's going to be 12 volt powered, and you're also going to have your coax connection on here. So this TV can be removed and taken outside and put onto that dock that you have outside. Now, these TVs do not have like a so-called safety strap that keeps them up against the wall. My recommendation would be to either add one or remove your TV for travel. This is a pretty good, robust mount. They've got it in a good spot, but again, we don't want that TV just bouncing down the road. So it does have a little Allen set screw here. You just loosen that, you push back on this tab, and this whole thing slides up and out. And then I would set it into a storage compartment on the bed, something like that. But then it also makes it real easy to move outside, so you don't have to keep or bring along an additional TV if you don't want one. You also have a 110 receptacle back here. If you do ever upgrade TVs or change out to a 110 option, you've got it there, so you don't have to worry about sourcing a 12 volt TV. All right, so moving on into our kitchen space here, we do have our Furrion standard microwave. You are going to have a DVD/CD player radio. We've got your tank monitor here. It does have a power button that you can turn it off here. It's going to give you your 3 tank quantities. So remember, you've got 2 fresh tank and a gray tank. And then we're going to have your Truma control, which is going to control your water heater, your heater, and your air conditioner. Overhead, we do have 2 storage compartments. In the one next to the microwave, you will see that in the back we do have your 110 power cord for your microwave. I always like to point this out in my walkthroughs because occasionally we get phone calls where they've just accidentally knocked that cord out because the microwave doesn't work. And then we've got your antenna booster over on the other side to increase and amplify our antenna capability so we can get those free over-the-air TV channels. Got a Furrion vent hood. It's got your fan and your light. And it also has a grease trap in it, so you do need to take this down. Just 2 little latches there. Slide this out, give it a good rinse, let it dry before you put it back in. And then we're just gonna reinstall this thing back up in here, which I probably don't know how to do. Just like that. And moving on down, we've got our 3-burner Furrion cooktop. So you'll turn your knob to the flame position here. There's like just a little flame symbol. And then you're just gonna rotate your igniter here on the left until you get that lit up. Now you will see that this does have backlighting for blue, so it's pretty fancy. It also turns on your oven light with a switch here. But anytime you get a burner going, or even your oven, right, your knob is gonna turn red. That is to be a visual identifier that that knob is turned on. So if you don't mean for it to be on, you can visually see that you need to get those checked and shut off so you're not just releasing propane gas off into your trailer uncontrolled. Standard oven. Down below the oven, we do have a little bit of storage. It's also going to be some service access. We've got a vent duct here at the bottom. Underneath our sink, we've got some storage. They're using a waterless P-trap. If for any reason you need to put a plunger on that sink, you're supposed to remove that trap. It's got kind of a sock inside of it. If you put a plunger on it, it's going to back it up. It's going to make things worse. Don't do it. Below that, we're going to have some additional plumbing access and maybe some storage down here if you can fit some stuff down in here. You will see that they have these vents on some of the compartment doors in here. So those are for proper ventilation or part of their winterization package, their cold weather package, to keep things from freezing up so heat can transfer or fresh air can flow to where it needs to. So make sure you're not covering those things up, that you're packing so much stuff in there that they can't operate correctly. We do have a couple of drawers in here. All right, so down in this lower compartment, fresh water pump. We've got 2 valves in here. Why do we have 2 valves? Well, we've got 2 freshwater tanks, and one's in the front, one's in the rear. So if we're utilizing our front tank, it's going to be this valve right here. You want the valve pointed in line with your water line to provide water to the pump. When it goes dry, you're going to close that one, and then you want to open the rear one, which then will allow it to pull from the rear tank. So depending on which tank you need to use will be dependent upon your valve position here. All right, moving on back to the back side of the kitchen here, moving towards the bathroom. Cabinet overhead, this is gonna be kind of our control cabinet. We got a lot of things going on in here. We've got some 12-volt resettable breakers. We've got our water tank heating pad on-off switches for our 3 tanks. We've got our toilet fridge main power, our DC outlet power, our water pump switch, water heater switch, furnace switch, and our RENOGY screen switch, which is going to be over here. We also have a disconnect switch, so a lot going on in here. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the RENOGY one panel over here. So this is kind of your information hub for really what makes this the Off Grid Extreme, which is going to be the robust solar and lithium system that they have on here. You can monitor everything here. They also have the RENOGY DC Home app where you can pair with it. This can actually pair with Wi-Fi. If you have Wi-Fi in the trailer or at the campground or somewhere, if it gets paired with Wi-Fi, you can monitor your energy in your trailer from anywhere through the DC Home app in the world. So a couple things here you can see are fully charged in. So if your battery is charging, which we're going to see this current right here with an up arrow pointing up, which means we're overproducing what we're actually consuming. So from 82% at 28 amps, it says it's going to take us 5 hours to get charged. You got to remember this unit has 800 amp hours of lithium battery on board. Down here, you'll see that we do have a couple other components that show up, but if we push this middle button, it's going to open up all our connected devices. We're going to see our inverter charger, our 50 amp DC to DC MPPT controller, our batteries, and then we're going to see our 60 amp MPPT controller. Well, why do we have 2 of these? Well, because this thing is capable of handling 110 amp total capacity, and they've done one that's a dedicated controller, and then they did a combined unit where we have that DC to DC connection that charges our lithium when we're in tow through an Anderson connector, but it also builds in an MPPT solar controller. So we kind of put 2 components down into one, but we still get plenty of system space. One thing I always like to show people is if you go into the inverter charger, so you just tap that button, you're going to open up, it's going to show you kind of everything that's going on here. But if you go to these 3 buttons up in the top right hand corner, you can change the name of it, you can put it what you want, it's going to show you what your battery type is. But down here at the bottom, you're going to see where it says charge amps. So this is capable of 150 amp charge capacity. Now you can set this anywhere as low as 5 amps all the way up to 150 amps. Now I like to make that known because you may need to adjust that depending on the amount of shore power you have coming in. Because if your batteries are low, this thing's going to go straight to trying to charge them at 150 amps, which is going to consume a lot of energy out of that inverter to charge those batteries, and may not have a whole lot of other power left to control other things like your air conditioner. So you may need to tone that down a little bit so you can use those other appliances. All right, so moving on to our Norcold refrigerator. This is a touch control up here. You'll see that as it sits right now, I can't make any changes to it. So what this has is accidental touch protection on it. So what you've got to do is you've actually got to put your finger on it and hold it, wait for the display to flash, and then it will allow you to make those changes that you want to make to it. So once you walk away and it takes a few seconds, then it's going to time back out, and then you would have to again hold your finger back onto the display, wait for it to flash, and then make your adjustment to the fridge setting. Now MDC always incorporates a door lock onto their units. So this one's a little different than what they used to use. It's a rotating knob. You're going to turn it to the unlocked position. It's got a pinch tabs on it that you're going to push, and then the strap just pops out. Get you to the inside. To redo it, just close it, push that back in, turn it back to the lock position. Freezer is just a pull-out freezer. And then down below, again, we've got some ventilation here, and that's going to be for access to your Truma unit. So this does have a gas supply shutoff. I would not recommend storing anything down here. We don't want to suffocate the unit or cause any operational issues. But you do have that gas supply if for some reason you did have a leak at the unit and you needed to shut it off and still be able to camp. All right, everybody, we're over to the dinette space. We're getting close. We're going to get there. Overhead, we've got 3 storage bins, and that's going to bring us down to our dinette seating space, which also makes into an additional sleeping space. Now let's cover this tabletop. It's got 3 different movements to it with 3 different levers. So the first one that I want to go over is going to be up here under the edge here. It's on the back side of the table. That's actually going to release the tabletop and allow the tabletop to slide in multiple directions. So you can move it in and out and get it positioned where you need it to make into your sleeping space. Once you decide where it needs to be, we're going to do this lever right here on the other side all the way around, and this is actually going to allow us to push this table down into place. Once you get it down, you are going to want to flip that lever and go ahead and lock it in the down position. Now, if you're not going to have anybody sleeping on it, there's really nothing else you need to do. But if you are, there are some stabilizing legs on each end of the table you are going to want to fold down and put down to the ground to help stabilize that for sleeping. And the last lever on this table is going to be the foot pedal right down here all the way at the floor. If you push down on this, this is going to allow the whole table base to actually rotate. So you can kind of set this space up into kind of a custom position of what is comfortable for you and your family. All right, and this is what the additional sleeping space is looks like with this additional filler cushion that comes with the unit. All right, let's take a look at some really cool components that they've got into the 19 Off Grid Extreme MDC here. This is part of this Off Grid Extreme package that really helps give you all that power for off-gridding camping that you need. So, all RENOGY products. We've got our REGO MPPT 60 amp solar controller. Going to be this guy right here with the knob on it. Already set the lithium. No adjustments need to be made. We do have your combined DC to DC and additional solar MPPT charge controller. This one's got a 50 amp rating. And then over next door, we've got one 400 amp hour battery. Now these do have self-heating in them, so there's nothing you need to do there. They automatically do the self-heating. We do have a large battery disconnect switch here. And then in this other compartment, we've got one more 400 amp hour REGO lithium battery. So all in all, 800 amp hours of battery with a maximum capacity of 110 amp hours solar charging capacity. That's pretty robust, guys. It's going to get you out there. It's going to keep you camping off grid for some time. All right, last few things we've got in our dinette area are going to be right down here on the face of the bench. We've got our GFCI outlet, our DC charging port. Again, we're going to have a cigarette lighter, USB-A, USB-C charging capabilities. We've got some more ventilation vents. Make sure we're not blocking those off. And last but not least, we've got our LP CO alarm. All right, here we are. We've made it to the bathroom. So let's cover everything in here real quick. Let's go over our door first. It's got a couple of different latches on it to keep it in place. We've got up top, we've got a locking latch. This is going to lock it in the fully open position or the fully closed position. Then down at the floor, we have a door stop. So if you push down on it with your foot, it's going to wedge it against the floor. Now this little lever right here, if you push down on it, it releases it from the floor. We've also got a little clothes rack hanger up here for drying or just hanging out your clothes while you get in the shower. We've got your toilet paper holder. Here's our toilet, which is again our cassette toilet with a hand pump. And the way that hand pump works is going to be this lever right here. If you pull up on it and then down, every time you pull up on it, it's going to pump water into the bowl, into there. And then to flush it is going to be this gray lever right down here. You're just going to slide that to the side. Everything's going to fall right down into the cassette. Now this bowl does swivel. It's the way the toilet's designed. So you can rotate that. It's not going to break anything. It may give you a little more leg clearance or knee clearance if you need it. Right behind the toilet is going to be our bathroom light switch. That is going to control all of our upper cabinet lighting. Turn the lights on and off there. We do have two overhead storage cabinets. We've got a nice above countertop mounted sink with a soap dish, and the drain stop is a push button style. And then we do have storage right next to the toilet. And then we've got a handful of drawers, and last but not least, just access to plumbing and additional storage under the sink. Okay, last thing, our shower. Overhead here, you'll see we've got some clothes hooks or towels hooks for drying. Shower door can be latched shut for travel with this guy right here. It's kind of keywayed, it just rotates. Make sure you do have that in place whenever you are traveling to help hold that shower door closed. You'll see right here, this is a magnet strip. There's also another magnet strip on the shower door that helps hold that nice and snug while you're using it. Inside, we do have another clothes rack for hanging maybe your swimming suits that you were wearing while you're enjoying that cool spring water on your off-grid trip. Our shower, nice and large, everything in here that you need. There is plenty of places to put your face towel, your soaps, shampoos, whatever it is you need. And it does have a nice adjustable shower head that you can raise on the rack or take off and handhold. And then overhead, we've got our ventilation vent. It's just gonna be a crank open. We do have some lighting on here with the switch, and then it is also vented. So, and it is reversible. So you've got in and out airflow here. You can open that up and get some lighting. All right, everybody, that should wrap up our tour of the 2025 MDC XT19HRT Off Grid package. Again, if you got any questions, hit us up. If I missed anything, just ask.